The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Hey, everyone. How are you guys doing? Can everyone hear me? I see. So we got some people in here. My name is Hope, and we're about to get going. All right. Sounds like everyone can hear me. We are going to do a very basic overview of Corel Draw today. So I do know you see that the Stone Wizard, I have this pulled up just because I always do because it's awesome. But today we're really just going to go over the basics of Corel. And I have Corel X7 pull it up here. So I don't know if you guys have 6 or 5, a little bit different versions. For the most part, everything's going to be very similar, almost the same identical toolbars and tools. So if you guys do have any questions, maybe if you do have a different version, just go ahead and let me know. Or if you're not seeing what I see, again, just let me know, and I'd love to walk you through where exactly you can find that in those different versions. So just a real quick question for everyone we got in here. Does anyone have a ton of experience with Corel Draw? Or are we all relatively new to it? What's kind of that experience level? We got some new, Dan, Deborah, lots of new people. All right, awesome. Brand new, installed it last night, Jennifer. All right, awesome. I'm really glad that you guys tuned in then, because we're going to get you a great overview of what this can do and just some basic tools. And that way when you try to jump in and start using things like the design wizard and things like that, you're going to actually know what you're doing and know how to navigate. And for the most part, if you're having trouble with the wizard, it's because you're having trouble navigating throughout Corel Draw and exactly how to use it. So let's get started. Hey, Deb Hill, you got some experience. I know you. Let's get going. So basically, I'm just going to go over the layout of Corel first. So we have our workspace right here. This is our square. It looks like a sheet of paper. And I'm just zooming in and zooming out on it. What we're going to see right up here, this is actually the dimensions of your workspace. This is something that's not extremely important when you first start designing. So I can draw anywhere. I can draw on my workspace. I can draw outside of it. It doesn't matter. The functions are all going to be the same. What's going to be important is when you start getting into exporting your files. You're going to want your design to be on this space. So some people, they just have different preferences on how big you want this to be. But again, it's not really going to affect your designing until the very end when you start to export. If you do want to change it, it's super easy. You can just come right in here and make it 90 by 11 if that's what you want. If you got a giant design that you got to make. I like to keep mine about 12 inches by 12. That way I know that I have about a foot to work with. If you use something like a silhouette cutter, you're going to know that you want to have a 12-inch design and nothing bigger. So this kind of helps keep it in perspective. If you have maybe a 24-inch cutter, it might be smart to make it about 23 inches and know how wide you're going to want that design to be. That way you can see where you can place all those images on the design. So that's our workspace. Does anybody have any more questions on that? That's just our general area where we're working. Awesome. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So one thing that I want to show everyone, and this is something, I don't know if you guys are all following along with me. I would recommend that you do if you can. But we're going to go in and we're going to make it so Corel will auto-save your design. So sometimes when we do some crazy stuff in Corel, it'll shut down on you. Or maybe if you just walk away and forget to save it and your computer turns off, we don't want you to lose your design. So we're going to turn on the auto-save. So what we're going to do is come right up here into Tools. We're going to go to Customization. All right, and then we are going to go to the Save box. And let me know if I'm moving too fast for anybody. And now we see our auto backup. So Rudy has his set to auto backup at 5 minutes. I think the default is like 20. So if you guys see 20, I would bring it down to 5. Again, that way you're going to make sure that at least you have a close design to what you're working on. It might not save the very last change that you did, but it's going to be close to what you did last if you happen to lose the document. And you can also decide what folder you want to save it to. So it'll back up these temporary files to this temporary folder. And it'll show you exactly the folder that it's going to save it to. But if you have like a design folder that you like to use, you can change that to a specific folder, go into Browse, and you can choose that folder. That's going to be super helpful for you. The more you work with Corel, the more times you're going to accidentally walk away from a design and and lose it. I do it all the time, and it's the worst. So I like to keep that autosave on. Let's see what else we can talk about in here. Other than that, I mean, here's your commands area. This is where we go a lot to. It got mad at me. I think it's because I changed it and I didn't save it. So we'll come back here. We're going to go to our commands area, and this is where we can see, if we go to File, we'll see our macros in here. And this is where we're going to pull up the Stone Wizard. A lot of the time when we want to bring out the Stone Wizard or bring out certain aspects of the Stone Wizard, even make sure it's installed properly, we're gonna check in here. So that's just a good area to know. Again, that's under, go to Cancel. One more time, I'll show you guys. It's under Tools, Customization, and then Commands. And for the Save feature, we're under Tools, Customization, and Save. Which text option is best for autosave? So Jen, oh, you want to do it in editable. So when it does save, it'll ask you when it's saving. I would recommend keeping it as editable. Rudy has keep appearance, but really that's up to you. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, Jennifer, when you're saving. And Jennifer again was asking which option of these is best to choose. So there's that. Awesome. We're going to move on a little bit. So let's see. We took care of our workspace and how to resize that, and we took care of that. Let's see. Let's talk about one thing here. A lot of the times, people, I just drew a box real quick. People will get their workspace size or their item size a little bit mixed up with this guy right here. This X and this Y are just going to show you where on your workspace your design is. So you can move that around and you'll see how the X and the Y are changing. That's not something you use a ton, but people do get it confused with the size. So I just want you guys to know that that is different. It's just the location, not something that's extremely important to you guys or that you'll use a lot, but just know that it's not the size. Mary's not seeing other responses. Mary, actually, unfortunately, only I get to see the questions, but if I do see anything that I think will be helpful to anybody else, I'll read it out loud, just like I have been doing, and that way you'll kind of see what other people are saying, but I can see your questions, Mary. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to start showing you guys some of the basic tools. As you guys see, what we have up here, this is our TRW toolbar. So if you do have the TRW Design Wizard, that's the 3.12, or if you have the older version, the Stone Wizard 2.14, you can have this toolbar, and we took a lot of the commonly used tools, so the ones that you're going to see, and we actually put them in a toolbar up here. If you don't have that, it's not a huge deal. All these options are available in other places in Corel. It's just a little bit less convenient to get to them. So I'm going to try to work down here in the actual Corel toolbars, but if I do get distracted and I get on the autopilot and I start using these guys, just ask me where these tools are and I'll show you. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are just going to start making some lines. And that is, again, on the TRW toolbar. That's going to be right here. But you can also use the 2-point line tool. So again, right here is going to be a lot of our different drawing tools, and the image that you'll see is going to be the one that you use last. So as you guys can see, I use the freehand tool last, so that's why that's showing. If I go in and I grab that line tool, I'll see the 2-point line. So if your image looks a little bit different, it's probably just because you changed it, and it's going to be constantly changing. So you'll just kind of want to get familiar with that. With our 2-point line tool, all we're going to do is click and drag, and then we're going to have a line. And if I keep clicking around and let go and then click right back down, those lines are going to be connected, and I can just drag it. These little boxes here, we call those nodes, and that's going to show you essentially the ends of the line or the points where it turns. So at every turn in this little box that I'm making, I see a node. All right, so that's our line tool. It's super simple, but again, you're going to use it a lot because we do draw a lot of lines. Another thing about this line tool that I'll show you guys is the point size up here. So you guys should all see the point size and then 3 boxes. So this is going to be the like the style of the line. So you can do dotted, you can do it dashed. They have some more funky ones, looks like some sort of Morse code. Usually I stick with just the basic line. And then what we can do is we can go here to our point size. So this is a super thin line. For the most part, when we're cutting out a design, we're not going to just cut one line. We want it to have some depth to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase that point size. So you can come here to 24, and now you can see that we have a line that you could actually cut out with your cutter and you would want to press as part of a design. The one thing about this, though, is I know it looks like we have a rectangle here, but even as I move it, you can see it's just one line. If I look in the wireframe, and the wireframe is going to show us just the outline of everything that we have going on. It's a great tool as well. We can go to View, and I like to keep it in Enhanced all the time, except for when I go to Wireframe. All right, so our wireframe, again, it's going to show us our outline. If you do have the Design Wizard, you can actually toggle back and forth between Enhanced and Wireframe. And what you guys are seeing as I go back and forth is that this line, it doesn't have any depth to it. It's still just a line. So it's not an object. What we're going to do is go to Object and convert outline to object. And again, we're still in the wireframe. And now what we have is an actual 3D box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control Z. Control Z is a great shortcut. And if you guys remind me towards the end, I'm going to bring you a document on our site that'll show you a bunch of Corel shortcuts. That'll make your life way easier. But Control Z is our undo. So when I'm here, again, I see that thickness of the line. And then here's another shortcut again. We can go to Convert to Outline. If I go back, I'll go to Object, Convert Outline to Object. And that will allow us to have that outline. Another thing that you can do with these lines is, let's go back into our Enhanced view, is you can add some ends. So Corel has some goofy little things that you can put on here. It's got like a hand that you can add. It's got arrows, which again, those can be useful sometimes. And just all these little things. I think there's like a train too somewhere. Maybe not. I thought there was an airplane and a train. But either way, they have these little designs that you can add onto there. And you can play with those. Again, what you're going to have to do, and I'll show you one more time, is just go back. We'll make it a line again. There's our line. And then we can come in here. Let's add the end. So now we have our arrow on this side, and then on the other side of it. Sorry, I have to select it. There we go. On the other side, we can just grab another arrow. So let's go with the end of an arrow. And again, this is a lot easier to see when we go to our wireframe. We're not going to see those because it's not an object yet. It's still just part of that line. So we're going to go to Object, Convert Outline to Object, and there we go. Now we have our full arrow, and we are able to send this to the cutter. Previously, if we had sent this to the cutter without converting it to an object, you would have just cut one straight line. And that's the line tool. Does anybody have any questions on any of those, whether it's the point sizing, converting it to an object? If not, we will move on to our next awesome tool. All right, cool. So we're going to move on to the B-Spline tool. This is one that I use probably more than any other tools in Corel. It helps you to outline. You weren't able to find the arrow, Trinidad. All right, so if we have a line, we'll do this one more time. If we have a line right here, up in your toolbar area. Now, it might not be exactly in this location. It might have moved around because, again, all these toolbars in Corel, they're editable. So you can move them around and you can customize Corel as much as you want. So Trinidad, are you seeing anything with a point size and then 3 different drop-down boxes? Yes? All right, cool. So once you grab one of these drop-down boxes, you can just scroll through and you can look through all of those arrow options. So you can do the front on one end and the back on the other, and you should be good. All right. And Trinidad, if you're still having issues with that, if it's not working like you think it should, you can always just give us a call in the call center and we'll walk you through it. I actually, when I'm not chatting with you guys on the webinars, I'm in the call center, so I love to answer any of your questions that you might have. Now we're going to move on to the B-Spline tool. All right, again, like I was saying, this is a great tool for tracing or really for just drawing any outline. So what you can do is you just grab it, and I clicked once to make my start point essentially. And now every time I click with this B-Spline tool, I'm going to come in and make a curve. And one thing to note about the B-Spline tool is everything you draw is actually going to be a curved line at first. So I have no corners. I was just starting to draw a heart, and then I saw that. Boo, it was curved. So if you guys want to draw some like 90-degree angles or some sharp points on this, all you got to do is while you're clicking around, before I make my next point, I'm going to hold down the V key on the keyboard. V as in Victor. And it's going to make a sharp edge for me. When I let go, again, it's going to go back to those smooth edges. And now I want to make this, again, a sharp edge, so I held down that V again. And now I have sharp edges. These right here, if I click on my shape tool after my B-Spline tool, so it's going to be, this is our pick tool, this is our regular arrow that you use all the time on your computer. We call it the pick tool. Right below that is the shape tool. When we use our shape tool, we can play with nodes. So I just used my B-Spline tool and I drew all these little dots, all these nodes around for my heart. If I don't like how this heart turned out, what I can do is I can grab one of these nodes only when I'm in my shape tool, and I can edit that. And as I move this node, I'm going to be drawing the heart, or I'm going to be editing this heart just a little bit. So I can move that in slightly. If I don't like how it looks, I can grab this and I can pull it in. If I want to, I can grab multiple nodes. So what I'll do is just select, and I want to grab both of these nodes and I want to pull them out. If I want to select even the whole half of this heart, I can grab all these nodes again and I can pull it out like that. Alright, so those are our nodes. Now with nodes you can get super complicated or you can make it super simple, but these are going to be a really important feature when you go into designing. Another important thing, I know I showed you guys how to make those sharp edges by holding down that V as you're clicking. Say you go through your whole design and you realize you forgot to do that. That's alright, you don't have to completely close out of it or delete it. What you can do is you can do something called like snapping the line to the node. So as you can see, this node here kind of shows the angle of the line, but it's still curved. If I want this line to actually go all the way to the node like it does when I did my sharp points, I can snap it to there, and I would use this tool right here, or clamping it. These guys, they look like little stick figures, but there are nodes. And I can just select the node that I want to do that to, click on the clamp, and it's going to bring it right to that node. If I decide I don't like that, I can again click on that node and I can float it. So I guess it's clamping versus floating. I call it snapping to versus not. But that's what we'll do there. And again, this allows for a lot of editing of your designs. And you can even do this with a design that maybe you didn't draw with your B-Spline tool. Any shape will have these nodes and we'll be able to edit it. So you can do that way. All right, so that's again just a very simple overview of that B-Spline tool. Does anybody have any questions there? And when we do get into a little bit more advanced Corel Draw webinars, we're going to be doing a lot with that, like tracing full objects. You could trace a person with that. We do a lot of like silhouette tracing with the B-Spline tool. Again, it's super useful for our designs, and we use it a ton here. If we don't have any questions on those nodes or anything, I'm going to go ahead and move on. The way 6 displays nodes seems different from 7. Are you able to clamp and unclamp them, or is it a toolbar difference for you, Mary? So what you should be able to do again is draw this and click on that node feature. Let's see if I can get that. I actually don't have 6 available on this computer right now, but again, Mary, if you do want to call in the call center, we do have 6 and 7, and we can, again, log into your computer and check it out and help you out with any of those nodes that you might need. Let's move on. Again, I'll walk you through kind of what else is in this little toolbar here. So we have our B-Spline tool here, our 2-point line. Oh, we have a 3-point curve. We'll use that one a lot when we're like arcing text. So what I can do is click, drag across, then I'm going to let go. And as soon as I let go, it's going to put me in charge of creating like the angle of this curve. So I'm not clicking at all. I'm just moving my mouse around and it's moving that curve. When I'm happy with it, I can just click and it'll release it. So I'll click, drag and come across and click to release. And I think one thing that I forgot to tell you guys about the B-Spline tool, I want to go back to that, is with the B-Spline tool, you're pretty much stuck drawing on it until you tell it to release, and one way that you do that is by double clicking. So when you double click, you're free of that and you're good to go. So sorry, I forgot to mention that, but I didn't want to leave you guys stranded with all of these crazy lines on your B-Spline tool if you don't know how to get rid of it. So again, we'll go back to that 3-point curve tool, come across, and click. There's that guy. We also have the freehand tool in here. I don't use this one too much, but it's pretty much drawing like a pencil. You just click and draw. Nothing too complicated about that. What else we have in here? That's pretty much all we're really going to use in here is the B-Spline, the 2-point line, and the 3-point curve are probably our most common in here. So after that, let's move on to some shapes. So right below that B-Spline tool in our freehand tool area is our shapes. So we have our rectangles, our circles and our ellipses, and then our basic shapes. So let's just start with a rectangle. And we're going to grab that. Super easy to draw. Click and drag out, and we have a rectangle. If you want a perfect square, what you can do is click, hold down Control, and as you drag out, it's going to make sure that the length and the width stay the same, making that a perfect square. If you don't hold Control, you will just be drawing a rectangle. So it's really whatever you want there. And there's our rectangle. If we go here, one thing that we can do, again, I just drew the rectangle. If I go back to my pick tool at the very top, and whenever we draw a shape or we grab a tool, any sort of tool, it's a good habit to get into to right after you're done drawing with that, go right back to your pick tool. Because if you start to try to edit this and you still have the square, so you try to double click, you're just going to draw more rectangles. So go right back to that pick tool, grab it, and then start working. So I have my square, or my rectangle. I clicked on here. When I click twice, I get these edits. So I can grab it and I can spin it. So I'll go back, I'll click off of it. When I select once, I just have it, I can move it, I can change the size of it. But when I click again, I'm going to be able to edit it. So I can rotate by just grabbing the corner and spinning it. And we can bring it back. And then I can also skew it. So I can grab in the middle, and as I move left to right, it's going to kind of change the angle of it, make it more like a rhombus, and change those angles of those corners. There is our rectangle. So let's move on to our other things. Oh, there's another fun thing about rectangles that I can show you. So here's our rectangle. We have our straight corners here. If you want to change that, you can actually choose to have an indented corner, and you'll just bring it in like that. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm not following all my own directions today, guys. So here we go. When I want to indent it, grab this, and then I'll grab our shape tool, and I can bring it in just like that. And that's going to change that corner of the rectangle. Again, I can keep editing it. If I want to go back, I can go to a rounded corner. I can bring that in, make it almost look like an ellipse, and I'll bring those back out. Again, that's by drawing the rectangle, grabbing the shape tool, and playing with these corners right in here. So we're going to have the scalloped corner, that flattened edge, or you can do rounded. All right. So now let's move on to our circles. Circles, super easy. There's nothing complicated about this. Drag and come across. So if you do it normally, you'll just grab an ellipse. If you want to make a perfect circle, all you got to do is hold down Control and come on in. So Brittany asked if we know the title of it. Brittany, are you asking for the title of a toolbar or a certain tool? I'm not sure exactly what question you're asking there, but let me know and I got you. All right, so this is our circle tool. Again, pretty easy. If you want to fill in the color, just click on the color bar right along here. If not, it won't be filled in. So, I mean, you'll want to fill it in. All right, let's move on. This is our basic shapes tool. Oh, sorry for the toolbar. Yes, Jennifer, we can slow down just a little bit. Is there anything that you missed? I do want to go back over it if I'm going a little too fast for you. The edges. All right, let's go over the edges of this square, this rectangle again. So I'll grab it, and I have my rectangle. Now I'm going to go to the shape tool right here. Again, that's right below the pick tool. Once I have my shape tool, you'll see it lights up kind of yellow, and it looks differently now. So now we know we're ready to edit it. And then we can grab our corners. So we have the rounded corner, the scalloped, and that, I guess it's called chamfered. I learned something new today, but that's going to be those flat diagonal edges. Right now we have our scallop, so we can grab it and drag in, and you'll see that angle, and you can come out. Linda, to draw a square, you are going to, oops, I grabbed the wrong one. You're going to grab that rectangle tool, and if you want it to be an actual perfect square with the same side, or the same length and width, we'll hold down Control, and then we'll drag. And it won't let you make a rectangle if you're holding Control. You'll only be able to make a square. Okay? Is everyone solid on these guys? Again, I don't mind going over anything. The more that we do it, the more you guys are going to learn and the easier it's going to be for you. But if you do have any questions, you can just let me know, and I'm happy to go back over it. That's a great question, Mary. If you have the scalloped rectangle, how do you make it a cuttable outline? So the difference between this and the line that we were drawing, so that line that we had, when we drew that, I'll draw one just to show you guys. The line versus the scalloped rectangle, the line doesn't have any width. So when you go to cut it, and if you think about how the cutter is actually going to cut this, and I'll look in the wireframe and it'll look exactly the same, the difference is going to be that this is 2D. This has depth. This one does not. So the cutter can actually cut right now, whereas the line, the cutter, I mean, it can cut it. It'll just be a line, and you won't be able to do a ton with it. So if we want this line to have some thickness, and we actually want to look like it's the appearance of a real line in our design, that's when we're going to go ahead and increase this point size. So we'll go back into our enhanced view. So we'll increase the point size to like a 10. Now when we go into a wireframe, it's important to remember that we need to convert it to an object because it doesn't have any depth still. So we're going to go to Object and convert outline to object. Now both of these are two-dimensional, so they have that length and that depth to it. So the cutter will cut it. It'll look great. Does that answer your question, Mary? So with the rectangle, again, you won't need to convert it to an outline or anything like that because it already has that depth. But, I mean, she was paying attention earlier, so that's awesome. All right, so let's move into these tools. So we have our Polygon Tool. That, again, right now, we're at a triangle. And if we wanted to have more sides, we don't actually need to grab a different tool. We're just going to go right up here where we were looking before, and we're going to increase the sides. Just like this. So again, a triangle, it only has 3 sides because it's a triangle. So if we had 3 sides, that's what we're going to make. As we increase, we are going to make a hexagon and whatever. A nonagon, is that the one with 8 sides? So we can play with that. And again, if we grab our shape tool, we can always edit kind of the angle of it. and I'm just playing with the shape tool. I'll go back some. And yes, Jennifer, so this will pop up depending on what we have selected here. So now that I have this, the Polygon tool, it's going to show me that I have the option to change the sides. And it's important to look up here because there's going to be a bunch of options that you might not even know that you have unless you kind of look at your toolbar and just see what you have going on. So that's our polygons. And now let's go to basic shapes. So this is where we're going to get our stars and our hearts and all that stuff. How do you get to the triangle? So the triangle you're actually going to get when you grab the Polygon tool. So that's just a polygon is just a shape with a different amount of sides, essentially. It's one of those basic shapes. And the more sides that you add, and you have your side options right here, the more sides you have, the different shape. So obviously 5 sides is going to be that pentagon, 4 sides is going to give you a rectangle, 3 sides is going to give you that triangle. So if you draw that and you automatically are coming up with an octagon, just go in here and you can type it in if you want. Just go back to the triangle. Are we good on the Polygon tool? Yeah, they do pop up in different areas. So this toolbar may not be exactly right here on your computer, but just kind of look for it. It depends on how you've edited your toolbars in the past. So let's move on. We're going to go through some basic shapes. Right here. And as you can see, right where we had our side option before, we're going to actually see the option to choose a different shape. I'm going to get rid of this triangle real quick. Go back to our basic shapes. So you can see right here, it's going to start with that trapezoid, but we can have any option. Now again, it's going to show up the image of whichever one you've used last. So it might not be defaulted to a trapezoid for you, but that's what I have. Just click on it, and you can see all your options. So you can make a cool lightning bolt. You can make, again, we have another triangle. That one's with a right angle. We have our plus sign, cylinder, and there we go. As you guys can see, a lot of these will have this little red square in here, and this red square will allow you to edit the shape. And this just takes like some playing with it to see what it does. Every shape, it's going to change it a little bit differently. Some don't even have it. So this lightning bolt doesn't have that red diamond, means that it doesn't have that option to edit. So I'll make sure I grab my pick tool in here, and I'll grab this. So you can kind of skew that around, rotate it, and just play with those shapes. What else we got going on in here? A little arc. Piece of paper. All right, so those are our basic shapes. And again, just kind of play with those and see what you can do. Here's our happy face. I wonder if we can make it. Yep, we can make them into a sad face. But we don't want to do that. We want them to be happy. So let's go back. All right. Anybody got any questions on basic shapes? I'm going to move on. We got about 10 more minutes. So I'm going to try to get you guys, again, just a basic overview of all these tools. I'm going to start in some text now if you guys are ready. But again, if you want me to go back to shapes, I can totally do that. But it looks like everyone seems pretty content. Alright, so one thing I actually do want to show you before we get into text is how I'm navigating around Corel. So if you see me, I'm moving around, I'm scrolling in and out. Not everyone knows how to do that right away, so I guess I'll show you how to do that. So say I have a shape that I'm working in right here, and I want to edit it. I want to see it really closely. What I'm going to do is, this is helpful. If you guys don't have a mouse with a scroll bar, I would recommend getting one if you can, because a really easy option to zoom is to just move forward on the scroll bar of your mouse. And I'm zooming in, and if I want to zoom back out, I'll just roll backwards on that. And wherever your mouse is, so if I want to zoom in right over here on this corner, I'll put my mouse there. Again, I'll scroll forward, and then I'll scroll back out. Linda's asking back about the smiley face. So will it cut that mouth, well, you have to change the width of it. Linda, because that was just one straight line, again, that line didn't have any depth to it, you're going to want to increase the point size of that, and then it will cut for that smiley face. But that's a great question. Again, you guys are paying attention. I like it. You're actually learning, which makes me happy. But yeah, let's go back to this zoom. We're just going to scroll in and out on our mouse. If you guys are not getting that option, you can go into Tools, again, just like we were before, Customization. Again, that was Tools, Customization. I'm trying to move slow for you guys, but if I am moving fast, just let me know and I can slow down. All right, and let's see, where is that in the... We have our save option. I actually forget where that went. Rudy showed me this right before the webinar, and I forgot where it went. But Rudy's gonna write me a comment, and then we'll see where to find that scroll option. On mine, again, it was just set as default, but some people might not have that. So I'll get you that answer in a sec, guys. So Deb is changing to an object and converting to curves. Is that the same thing? Deb, that's not the same thing. Oh, Rudy's here. All right, so we're going to go into customization, display. I was there, and so the default action for our mouse wheel is going to be either zoom or scroll. So you guys can choose which one you prefer, but we're going to go to zoom to change that. Mine's already there again, but when you change anything in here, you're going to want to hit OK. And there. All right. There's that action. So Deb, so converting to curves versus creating it to an outline. With those lines, you're going to want to convert it to an outline first, and then we're going to convert everything to curves. And I'll go over that a little bit when we go over text, Deb. Converting to curves is actually taking an object and essentially preparing it to cut. So when we take our text and we convert it to curves, we're making that text into an object. And if that's over any of your heads, we're going to go over that in just a second. So I'll explain that to you a little bit more. But Deb, with your lines, you're going to want to convert it to an object. So let's move in to our text tool. So right here is our little A, our text box. The first thing that it's going to ask us to do when we want to start typing is create our text box. So we can make it as big or as small as we want. Doesn't really matter because you can edit it as you go. I usually just click with my mouse and then start typing. So I'll click right there, and I'm going to write TRW rocks. Okay, and then again, I'm zooming in on it so I can see it. What we can do is we can stretch it if we want, or we can come up here to the point size. So if we know an exact point size that we want something to be, you can come right here and change it. So if we want it to be 50, I'll change it to 50. We have to have it highlighted. So there we go there. Another thing we can do is just change our font. So we have TRW rocks. We want it to go to one font that we use here all the time is Impact. Makes it nice and thick and bold, and this is a great font to cut because it makes sure all the lines are thick enough. They're going to look good on a shirt, and it's one that we use, again, all the time. And here is our text. So we can stretch that out. If we know we're doing, say, a name on the back of a shirt, we're not going to want that to be 4 inches. We're going to want it to be a little bit bigger. So what I always do is I'll come in here, and if I'm doing, say, the back of a shirt, I'm going to make it at 10 inches. So I'll come right here, and I'll make sure this lock is locked. And I'll show you what happens if you don't do it, but it's going to lock that ratio, basically, from length to height. So if I come in here and I type 10, it's actually going to change both. It's going to make it proportional. So now I know that I can put this TRW rocks on the back of a shirt, and it's going to span that entire thing. If I hit Control-Z and I go back and undo that, and I unlock this little lock right here, that's going to unlock that ratio. So I'm going to say if I type 10 now, it's only going to change, I typed 1. If I type 10, it's only going to change that length of that. It's not going to change the height. So it won't stay proportional. That's up to you guys and what you're doing for your design. If you need it to stay proportional, make sure this is locked. If you don't need it to, not a big deal. You don't need to have that checked. So the point size, how is it converted to inches? Points don't make sense. Yeah, Linda, the point size, again, you're absolutely right. Usually we're going to work in inches because we know how big we want it to be. Different times you might want to work in a point size is if you maybe have like a rhinestone font and it needs to be in a certain point size. It'll make sure all the rhinestones are the proper size. But for the most part, Linda, you're going to want to be changing your actual inches, your height and width. All right, so now I have this text, and we're going to talk about something that Deb mentioned a little bit earlier, is converting it to curves. So when we send this text to the cutter, we're always going to want to convert it to curves first. And what that's going to do, as you guys can see, when I click on this, Corel knows it's text. It gives me that cursor. I can still come in here and I can edit it. I can delete it, make a little lowercase or whatever. It's going to know that it's text. It's different than an image. When I go and I convert it to curves, which I'm going to do right before I cut, let's go back. I can go to Object also and then convert to curves. That'll do it if you don't have that TRW toolbar. You're not going to see an actual difference in the object or in the text, but the cutter will like that better. We'll just state it that way. Always convert your text to curves before you send it to the cutter. You'll also have the option to use your shape tool on this once you convert it to curves, which you didn't have before. So there's our text. If we want to, I'm going to go back and make sure it's text. Still curves. There we go. Now it's text. If we want to move this text around and say I think that this S is too close to my K, I can grab this little box and I can move that S over. I can even move it down. So that's a great editing tool for our text if we want to play with the spacing. I can highlight everything and I can move this whole word over and I can move it back. And that's all with these little boxes that come up right here when we click on our shape tool when we have text. So I can take this TRW if I want to move this above the rocks. I can do that. And that way, again, it's just a way to mess with your spacing without really messing with the text too much, and it helps. Deb, to know if it's not converted to curves, the best way to know is if it'll let you convert it to curves. If it's going to let you convert it to curves, then it's not. It hasn't been done already. So if I come here and I either see this convert to curves if I have the toolbar, or if I go to Object, Convert to Curves, and it's going to let me do it, then you need to convert it. Now that we have it converted, you'll see that it's going to be grayed out. All right, so one thing I do want to show you guys, and we are just about out of time, I'm going to bring you to our site, and I'm going to show you a few different things that will help you out. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the documentation that will show you the Corel shortcuts. So I'm going to go to our site, the rhinestoneworld.com, tutorials, documentation, and then we're going to go to TRW Stone Wizard and Corel shortcuts. And this is something that we worked on. We basically gave you the shortcuts that are most used. It does say Stone Wizard 2.0, but it is useful for a lot of our Design Wizard 3.0 tools as well. So there is our shortcuts, and you guys, when you're first getting started, go ahead and print this out and have it next to you as you're designing, and try to get used to it, because the more that you're playing with Corel, the more time that you save, the more money you're going to make, because the more designs you're going to be able to make. Another thing I want to show you guys real quick is just our calendar. And so you guys can see the upcoming webinars. So we do have some free webinars for beginners. We also have some paid webinars. And with the paid webinars, you're going to get an hour-long webinar, so you'll get some more time. You'll get some documentation that'll show you like a step-by-step guide to whatever it is you're learning. So if it's a design, it'll be step-by-step as far as how to create that. And you also usually get a free design, and a lot of times they'll throw in a coupon code with those webinars. Don't quote me on the coupon code. That's up to you, whoever is doing it. But a lot of times they'll do that. So here's our webinars. Again, we are just about out of time. Does anyone have any just last minute overall questions? All right. Get to the shortcut page again. So to get to our shortcuts, we're going to go to tutorials, and we actually have a lot of tutorials here that are outside of what I've shown you. But we'll go to documentation. So we have a lot of different stuff in here that you guys should totally just go in and check out. So we have our cut settings, so recommended cut settings for your cutter. We have our shortcuts is right here, different spec sheets for our products. But this is the one I was showing you guys, the TRW Stone Wizard and Corel shortcuts. And then Jennifer, so this, our text wasn't aligned when we, let's do that one more time. Just real quick. So when I use my shape tool and if I move it and now it's not aligned, I can either hit Control Z to undo what I just did, or honestly what I would do is just bring down some guidelines. And I'm just clicking right here and make sure that those are lined up. That way if it is off, you'll see it. So Amanda, you're not seeing the toolbar under the Corel Draw heading. Amanda, do you have Corel X6 in Windows 10? That's usually the issue. If you're not seeing like the file tools, Amanda, that's just a glitch that you have. Again, with X6 and Windows 10, there is a patch update. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure that that Corel is the most up to date. And if you don't know how to do that, just go ahead and give us a call. But that is one of those weird things that we saw when Windows 10 came out. Corel X6, this would actually disappear. But when you do hover over it, it will light up. So you're still able to use it. It's just, again, annoying not to be able to see your toolbar. But that's all I have for you guys today. We are out of time. I think we're even a little bit over time, but that's all right. You guys are awesome. If you have any more questions, check out our YouTube videos, youtube.com/The Rhinestone World. And we have tons of videos there for you guys. You can always call us in, and we love to help you guys out in the call center. But yeah, that's all I got, and you guys have a great day. See ya.